Over the last couple of weeks or so, this has been going on outside my window. As you can see, there's a tremendous amount of activity with Department of Transportation because they are ripping up the street. The reason they're ripping up the street is this right here. As you can see, this is just a small sample of the road, and it's in horrible shape. I have been driving over this for so many years that I never even thought about them doing this. Like, I figured, well, they'll just patch and patch and patch and patch and never do anything more. And it'll never really get better because this is what we're stuck with. But as I watched them rip it up, it dawned on me that, you can only patch but so much. You can only keep going down the same road for so long before it becomes very evident that this isn't working, that there's a better way, a smoother way. So, I've started thinking about this process here and your finances. And sometimes, as I realized, you just gotta tear up everything. Because if the road you're driving down financially is so bumpy that you can't make headway, that you don't have enough money to go around, that you're drowning in debt, that you're stressed out beyond imagination, then it's time to rip up the old road and lay down a new one. Now I'm going to show you what the street looked like later on in this video after they were done. But for now, I want to show you 5 steps that you can take to actually straighten out your financial life and make sure that your road financially is smooth from here on out to infinity. And I'm going to do that by sharing with you my 5 SMART principles. So SMART, right here, S-M-A-R-T. SMART stands for self-knowledge, monetary awareness, allocated spending, ready cash, and targeted credit use. And the first thing I'm going to do is start right here with self-knowledge. So you might wonder, well, what does that mean? What does that have to do with the street being ripped up? I'm going to tell you. We all have a money story. We all grew up with a money story around us. It could have been true, it could have been false, but whatever it was, it was. Either your parents were living paycheck to paycheck. They fought about money. They didn't talk about money. They were overly generous, or they were stingy. Maybe they gave and gave to other people until it hurt them, and that left a mark on you also. All of those things over time, including your adult experiences with money, have left a mark on you, and they all affect how you behave towards money. So the first thing is to find out, well, what is your money story? What traumatic or critical things happened during your childhood, during your upbringing, during the course of your life that left a permanent mark on you, that subconsciously keeps you from achieving the abundance that you desire? Next, you need to find out, well, what is your money personality? I have discovered 4 over the course of my coaching. There's the free spending surfer, there's the disciplined soldier, there's the kind-hearted, overly generous first responder, and then there's the adventurous, risk-taking hunter-gatherer. Where you fall dominantly in one of those 4 money personalities decides how and why you relate to money the way you do. So, I'll give you an example. The free spending surfer is going to live that YOLO lifestyle. They're going to spend everything that comes into their hands. It's in one hand and out the other. The disciplined soldier is going to just hoard stuff, maybe because they're scared. They've learned from their parents or from bad situations that money can disappear. And so scarcity drives them, and insecurity. And so they feel like, I've got to hold on to this money. Maybe they're the kind-hearted first responder. Can I get you some money? Yeah, they're the ones who are always willing to give and give until it hurts them. They put everyone else first. Or maybe you're the adventurous hunter-gatherer. You're always out searching, looking for a new way of making a profit. You're a risk taker. You're willing to accept risk because you know that there's a much greater reward at the end of it. So, once you understand that, you can make better, more informed decisions about how you relate to money. And I use it in my coaching because it informs me about how best to relate to you as we're going through our coaching process. When you go through this, you really tear down the old you, much like you're ripping up that road. And you're getting rid of all of the stuff, all of the false money stories, all of the narratives that didn't serve you, and then you can create a new future. Create the new. So that requires that you do some work. You got to rip it up and start over. Now, once you do that, you can move on to monetary awareness. All right? Basically what that means is understanding two things. Your cash flow, that's two numbers, and your net worth. That's another two numbers. Now the first two numbers in cash flow is how much income do you have coming in and how much expenses do you have going out the door. Net worth is how much do you own by way of assets versus the second number, how much do you owe. How much you owe can drag down net worth and cash flow, and it affects how much money is going out of the door in cash flow because those debt payments add up. And if you have this much money and debt is taking half of it in payments, like a lot of Americans, then you're restricting how much progress you can make financially in this world. Now, once you know those two numbers, you can then move on to the third letter, which is allocated spending. In other words, that's a plan for your dollars. That's it. You know what your money's going to do before the month begins, so you're not left wondering where it went when the month ends. Or even worse, you run out of money before you run out of month. I've been there in that situation. Then that just leads to desperation. You do things like take high interest toxic loans to get by. You borrow from Peter to pay Paul. You borrow from family or friends to get by. And all of this just digs you deeper and deeper and deeper into a hole that it eventually becomes seemingly impossible to get out of. But when you have an allocated spending plan, or what I like to call an intentional spending plan, which I give to my clients, you now gain control. Like one of my clients said, I feel so much more in control now. I feel so much more powerful because I'm not wondering where my money's going. And I know that I can control where my spending takes me. And she now has the confidence and the ability to create the kind of future that she always dreamt of. Now, once you have your allocated spending plan and you've removed all of the fog in these steps, now you can move on to ready cash with the R. That's your savings. Cash is king. That's the one thing I learned during COVID. See, the banks can cut off your credit line. They can shut down your home equity loan. They can kill your credit cards. But they can't take your cash. That's yours. And in a crisis, cash is king. I always advocate having three main types for entrepreneurs, especially. That is your emergency fund, your hill and valley, and your sinking fund. Your emergency fund, because emergencies will happen. I promise you. They will come along. 3 to 6 months is ideal, is great. 6 to 12 months is even better. Hill and valley, what's that? Well, as an entrepreneur, you can have good months and you can have down months. When you have down months, you need somewhere to go to get money to make up the difference. That's where your hill and valley comes into play, and I show you how to use that. Sinking fund. That keeps known expenses from becoming emergencies. So many times we know something's coming along and we wait and we wait and we say, well, I'll figure it out then. But then the time comes and then you got to scramble to get the money together. That's not the way to do it. A sinking fund divides up the amount you need by the number of months until the expense comes, and you know how much money you have to set aside every month to have the full amount when the time comes. That prevents these little things that are known from becoming emergencies. Finally, the T is for targeted credit use. Targeted. You're not just shooting a shotgun and hitting everything. You're not just running out and buying something that's on sale or taking a vacation because I deserve it with money that you don't have. With targeted credit use, you do two things. Number one, you leverage your credit for opportunities like education and business and purchasing of assets rather than using it to fulfill immediate gratification. Secondly, if you have toxic credit debt, consumer debt, you have an aggressive plan to pay it down. And I always recommend the debt snowball method when it comes to that. So, now you've seen my 5-step process, my SMART principles that I outline in my book, SMART Money Makeover. This will give you the firm foundation you need to lay down a smooth road. And now, as you can see in the videos, this is what you have after you're willing to do the hard work and rip up the rough road down to the bare foundation and lay down a smooth surface that will carry you on into the future successfully. So that's it. That's what I have to share with you, boys and girls. If you found this helpful, please put it into practice and share it with someone who might benefit from it. Remember, SMART, self-knowledge, monetary awareness, allocated spending, ready cash, and targeted credit use will be your blueprint for financial success. Thanks so much. I hope to see you in my upcoming Money Hero Academy class, because that's where we go into SMART in depth. And I hope you have a great day and a fantastic week. I will see you soon.